According to the Arab sources, the Muslim women joined their brethren in the fight against the attackers. It is impossible to confirm it, but it seems—
Oh, what? What? We got the women showing up. Okay. All right. Continuing where we left off.
It was enclosed on its western and southern sides by deep ravines. To the west, Wadi Rakad flowed into the Yarmouk River near Yakasa.
The Muslims are still unstoppable, as usual.
Through a deep ravine with very steep banks. The ravine was crossable at a few places, but there was only one main crossing, where the village of Kafir el-Ma stands today. South of the battlefield ran the canyon of the Yarmouk River, while deserts occupied the north and east of it. The plain was mostly flat, save for a small hill called Sameh. On the 14th of August, the Roman army moved forward and started forming up to the east and north of Alan. It is debated whether the army was commanded by the Armenian general Vahan, or each of the 5 corps had a separate leader. The Byzantine army positioned itself as follows. The light Ghassanid cavalry of Jabala was stretched across the plain as the vanguard, with the objective of screening the army and skirmishing with the enemy. Kanatir commanded the left flank, while Grigori was on the right flank, and 2 central corps were led by Dejan and Vahan.
Very big army.
Spear and sword infantry in the first rank, archers in the second, and cavalry behind them.
But look, bro, let me say something, man. The Muslims have plot armor. Alright? Like, at this point, it's like the Muslims have plot armor. They quite literally have Allah on their side. So, I don't know how this is gonna end, but it's clear to me that they're most likely gonna win.
Overall commander appointed
Like,
by the Caliph. Sources
99%.
to be the one giving the orders. The Muslim force matched the widths of the Roman army, but as it was smaller, its formation wasn't as deep. Khaled moved some of his light cavalry to the vanguard to observe the Romans. The infantry was divided into 4 corps, made up of 9 units each, with infantry in the front and archers behind them. There were 3 cavalry units behind each flank and centre, while Khaled's mobile cavalry unit served as a reserve. The Arab commander's plan was to defend and tire his foe, and then counterattack when possible. Both armies had a southern flank secured by the river Yarmouk, while the northern flank bordering the desert offered a chance to outflank the enemy. The Battle of Yarmouk started on August 15th, 636, with the Roman light cavalry vanguard moving behind the main army, mostly reinforcing the left flank cavalry. The Arab vanguard did the same and joined the main cavalry units. It is unusual to see a battle fought in this era which wasn't started by a clash of light skirmishers, but the sources didn't mention this happening, instead insisting that the champions of both sides dueled for a few hours.
Bro, I swear all of the time, it's always like all of these fights always start with either like the generals, the kings, or champions or something like that, always fighting each other, bruh.
In any case, after the screening forces pulled back, a third of the Roman infantry advanced across the front at midday. Soon the Roman footmen clashed with their counterparts, while the archers in the second rank skirmished, sending volleys above the heads of their infantry. The details of this first day are scarce, but it is possible that the Byzantines decided that a reconnaissance in force would provide benefits. Their attack was slow and lacked determination. After a few hours of fighting, they disengaged and returned to their initial positions. The first day of battle was over, and the sides returned to their respective camps. At night, a few Roman light cavalry units moved forward, but they were caught by their Arab counterparts and forced back. These raids were seemingly disjointed and lacked an objective, as they were not conducted by nearly enough troops to do much damage. They allowed the Romans to form up in the darkness without alerting the enemy.
Oh.
attack the Muslims as early as possible, not giving them the opportunity to get into formation. Indeed, the whole Roman army attacked before dawn. Some sources claim they knew of the Muslim religious rites, that one of their prayers happened at this time, and decided to use it to their advantage.
Yo, I will never understand, like, those people. Like, you know, I gotta respect it. I gotta respect it, bro. But it's like, really? Like, praying, like, in the middle of a battlefield? I mean, I get it, right? You put God, or in this case, Allah, because Allah is the, you know, obviously, you should know Allah is the translation of God in Arabic, right? You gotta put God before anything. That's true. But, like, look, I'm pretty sure that God is a very understanding God. Actually, no, he is a very understanding God. In fact, he's a very merciful God. Although I know that in the Quran, I think the Quran kind of describes him a bit more differently, a bit more harsh, not like extremely harsh, but I could be wrong about that. But still, even then, if I am not wrong, and if I am wrong, please correct me if I am wrong. Even then, I'm pretty sure he should be able to look at this and think to himself, hey, yeah, I get why you wouldn't be praying right now. You know, you don't want a surprise attack, obviously. I don't know, man. But still, I respect it. 100,000%. I respect it.
Unfortunately for the attackers, the same light cavalry patrols who fought them during the night were ordered to remain in front, and as soon as the Romans came into contact with these forward units, the Arabs retreated to their main force and informed them of the impending attack. To the surprise of the Romans, their foes managed to prepare for the attack. However, they had their orders, and so the second day of the battle began.
Wow, yeah, Khaled smart.
The Roman plan was to tie up the Muslim army
Not surprising.
to pressure its wings. To that end, the attack in the middle was relatively passive. The Byzantine left attacked the Muslim right head-on. The first two attempts to break through failed, but the Byzantines had a numerical advantage and used it. Fresh troops moved to the front, and the third attack pushed the Arabs back. Some of them started retreating towards their camp, and some joined the centre-right. This opened a way for a counter-attack by the Arab right-wing cavalry. Its charge wasn't strong enough to force the Romans back, but tied them up for some time, allowing the infantry to retreat. Soon the cavalry was unable to withstand the pressure and also retreated. Later Muslim sources mention that the wives of the retreating warriors shamed them into returning to the battle. I don't know if that is true, but the Arab right flank...
Nah, bro, let me talk about this for a second. The wives of the warriors shamed them to return to battle. You know, it always blows my mind how throughout history, men have willfully accepted taken influence from women. And in my personal opinion, that's why everything sucks. I've actually said this a few times before. But like, I see all of these dudes who are complaining about stuff like society this and society that. My channel isn't about that. Although I should create a second channel discussing those topics because I have a lot to say about that type of stuff. I always point out how, well, to tell the men to stop caring about what the women think. I mean, it's like, I was talking to my friend about this back when I was still in school. I was like, yeah, you can say what you want about women, but at the end of the day, it's still the men who have the ability to enable essentially anything in society. Now, I said in my Catherine the Great reaction, you should go check it out, but I said in my Catherine the Great reaction that women are extremely smart. The only difference between women and men is that women have extremely less testosterone, which is a thing responsible for height, voice, how deep your voice is, you know, like how strong you are, etc., right? But that doesn't mean that women aren't capable of using their brains. They very much are. But they're still weak, which is normal, okay? Like biologically speaking. I'm not saying it in a negative manner. So, I mean, that's why, like, obviously men have been in the dominant positions through all time, right? So this is why every time I hear these people who are complaining about, oh, it's so hard to be a man or something or some nonsense, or I just can't really like subscribe to that point. It's like, dude, you're a guy. Like, if men really wanted to, they could easily just like group together and just like not care about what women would think, because what would they do? Rebel? That would easily get put down, right? Like, when you really think about it, like, women, you really can't do anything to men. Like, when you think about it, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but that's just true. Like, but again, it's just men who allow a bunch of this nonsense to transpire. And then they wonder why everything sucks. But I'm not going to talk too much about that here. I'm only talking about this because of what I just heard. I mean, like, really shaming you back into battle? Come on. Like, imagine if I'm there and I had a wife there and she shamed me. I could just look at her and be like, yeah, I left the battle, so what? What is she gonna do? She can't do anything besides use her mouth, because that's what most women do. They just use their mouths and, you know, talk. And so many dudes just simply, you know, they give so much value to it and so much weight to it. I'm like, why? Just ignore it and continue living your life the way how you want.
Flank reformed and started marching towards the approaching enemy. Meanwhile, the Roman right, which was probably made of the best heavy infantry in the empire, was even more successful. Some sources mention that it was fighting in a testudo formation, but that is probably an anachronism. In any case, the first or the second attack by this group drove the Muslim left flank back, and they hastily retreated towards the camp. Similar to what happened on the other side of the battlefield, the Muslim cavalry attempted to stem the enemy advance with a counterattack, but it failed, and the horsemen joined their infantry en route to the camp. The sources once again claim that their wives urged them to return to the battle, and even threw stones at their husbands, as the Roman right was...
Again! Why would you tolerate that? Dude! Like, oh my... It blows my mind how men are so docile whenever it comes to women. Throwing stones at you? Their wives are throwing stones at you. And they just accept. Yo, that can never be me, swear. That can never ever be me. But it seems that the Muslims are actually about to lose though.
Due to its heavier armor, the Arabs had more time to rearrange their line and move towards the Romans. An attentive viewer might ask why the Byzantines didn't exploit these breakthroughs by pouring troops between the gaps in the Muslim formations, or by outflanking the enemy right by widening the front. In truth, we don't have answers to these questions.
Yeah, I'm wondering that.
It assumed that the fresh Muslim cavalry in the center and in the reserve probably discouraged the former, while the latter was dangerous due to the fact that the Arabs had already used desert terrain numerous times in the past to outflank the Byzantines. It was noon, and Khaled had just been watching the battle until that moment, but seeing the return of the wings spurred him into action. taking command of the cavalry in the center. First, his united cavalry force charged to the right, and moments after joining up with the right wing, attacked the enemy left. The Romans didn't expect an attack from the flank and were forced to retreat to their original positions, losing men along the way. To the south, the left of the Caliphate's army was about to engage the Byzantine right. Initially, the Arabs were getting the worst of the fight and were about to break and flee again. However, Khaled was on his way. He sent one unit of his cavalry to exploit the gap between the enemy right and center right, and charged the rest into the side of the Roman right. As mentioned, this was the best Roman infantry, so they resisted longer than their counterparts and suffered fewer casualties, but still retreated.
Yo, Shona, what's up, man? Shona, what's up, man?
The cavalry unit sent to attack the Roman center right surprised the latter, managing to break in and killing the commander of this group.
What?
The Romans recovered from their surprise and pushed back the attackers. However, seeing that their flanks were retreating, the center also broke off and returned to their starting position.
Yo, this battle seems like it's going absolutely nowhere. I don't know. It seems like a very equal battle right now.
Both parties probably suffered similar casualties, with the majority of the Arab losses during the early retreat. The Roman right lost the most troops, and that would prove to be important during the next day, as this detachment started its advance alongside the whole army, but stopped well short of the enemy army, with archers on both sides entering a half-hearted skirmishing contest. Meanwhile, the Roman center-right engaged the Arabs, but this attack only served to tie up this portion of the opposing army. The main attack targeted the right and center-right of the Muslim army, and although initially the Roman onslaught was slowed, their numbers started to play a role. The Muslims started to retreat, especially on the right flank, where they were way up to the camp yet again.
Okay, looks like the Romans are actually about to clutch up and win this. Let's see.
This allowed the Romans to increase the pressure on the rightmost units of the Muslim center-right and start turning the line. Amir's corps finally reformed and returned to the battle, but all their efforts only managed to stabilize the line. The Arab cavalry in the second line attempted to outflank the Romans.
What is this though? What is this? I see cavalry here. What is that? Why is this not being used?
Khaled moved his own to block off this advance. Seeing that the Roman right was being passive, Khaled deduced that his left was safe. He moved the reserve cavalry to the right and charged the Roman flank. The Byzantine commander attempted to move more troops from his second rank to widen his front, and it worked for some time. However, the Romans now lacked their previous depth, and with this advantage negated, the Arabs in the other parts of the line started to push back. Approaching dusk, the continuation of the battle became impossible, and the attackers disengaged, retiring to their initial line.
Oh my, dude, what? How many times are they gonna do this?
Clear that the Romans were getting frustrated, as they expected their numbers to prevail at this point in the engagement.
I'm getting frustrated too.
Days, the Romans probably lost more troops, but they still outnumbered their foe. Meanwhile, for Khaled, the main worry was the losses among the Yemeni archers and on the right flank. The Roman plan for the next day was to attack the right half of the Caliphate's army, to divide it and encircle each corps separately, and then do the same with the left half. To that end, their left attacked the Muslims, and soon the right flank of Khaled's army was shoved back yet again. As far as in previous days. Made up mostly of the Armenians, the Roman center-left was equally successful against the Muslim center-right. This time, the Roman troops were able to turn this portion of the Arab line, which opened up space between their corps, and the Christian Arab light cavalry, which was stationed in reserve behind the center, was commanded to charge into this gap. The Muslims were suffering heavy casualties, and it was becoming clear that Khaled needed to move to the area to stop the Romans from winning. Before he did that though, he sent word to the left and center-left ordering them to advance and tie up the forces in front of them.
Okay. I still see that reserve cavalry, so...
divided his cavalry into two halves. One of them moved to the left and attacked the Armenians from the side and rear, while Khalid himself moved against the Christian Arabs. The arrival of the reinforcements invigorated the beleaguered Muslims, and they counterattacked. The fight here continued for a few hours, until eventually the Muslims started gaining the upper hand. Engaged from three sides, the more heavily armoured and disciplined Armenians suffered some casualties, but were still able to retreat in relative
retreat.
order. Their Christian allies weren't as able to defend themselves, and lost many hundreds before they were able to return to their initial position. Seeing that their centre had fallen back, the Roman left also disengaged. However, the left half of the Muslim army was still in melee. Initially, the Arabs had the upper hand, as their charge surprised the Romans, but their commanders steadied the troops, and soon they were pushing back. The small number of Arab archers...
Oh my gosh, this is like it's just going one way, then it's going another way. It's like swaying over and over. Like, I'm like, where's the decisive moment? Where's the decisive moment? Because usually I'm so used to there being like a decisive moment. I'm like, where is it? Jeez, man. Oh wow.
Apparently, the arrows did so much damage to the forces of the Caliphate that later Arab sources called it the Day of Lost Eyes.
Unable
to withstand the volleys.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, I was not expecting those arrows to be that deadly.
Shortly after, they were followed by the Romans. This attack had the Muslim forces on the back foot and in full flight, all of them except the leftmost unit of the centre, which managed to crush the enemy detachment in front of it and attacked the right side of the Roman centre. Eventually, this group was overwhelmed. The Muslim withdrawal...
This is a bad idea though, because these guys are still here and you're still there.
Stopped around the camps, but they were chased by the Romans. According to the Arab sources, the Muslim women joined their brethren in the fight against the attackers. It is impossible to confirm it, but it seems...
Oh, what? What? We got the women showing up. Okay. Respect. All right. Show up. You all right? Bro. That's crazy. How different women back then to women today are. I know that there are still some women that are just made for battles, bro. Made for war. But bro, you think today, if like there's a war, there's a battle going on, and your wife is nearby and you're retreating, you think she's gonna go pick up a gun and help you? Heck no, bro. A lot of chicks nowadays, bro, would never do that. Never. Ever. But still though, I love it when I see when they react to this stuff and the women always show up, because it proves that women can do a lot more than what has been fed to our faces for the past God knows how many hundreds of years. Okay, that's why we treat women the way how we treat them, aka men, and now they become spoiled. Too many of them have become spoiled, thinking that, oh, I could just do nothing but sit around. I get everything that I want.
By the end of the fourth day of the battle, the Romans were either pushed back or disengaged on their own. Both sides were extremely tired and battered. Some sources mention that there was an attempt to negotiate from the Romans and that the Arabs refused. But in any case, the army spent the 19th of August resting. Khalid made just one change to the formation. All of his horsemen were drawn into one large detachment behind the right-wing infantry, save for one cavalry unit which was sent north into the desert.
Oh my gosh, dude, he's gonna do his classic.
August 20th, the 6th day of the battle. Both sides charged and engaged in a melee across the line. After the melee began, Khaled sent a portion of his cavalry forward with an order to attack the side of the Roman left, but upon their approach, Roman cavalry wheeled around their footmen and blocked their advance. That was the moment the Arab commander was waiting for, as the rest of his horsemen moved forward, attacking the Roman cavalry from the side and rear. Soon the Roman horsemen were crushed, and the Arabs attacked the infantry. They broke under the attack from three sides and started falling back to the center. The Muslim right now attacked the Roman center-left from the flank and rear. Meanwhile, the commanders of the Roman army noticed that their left-wing cavalry was being routed from the field by the consolidated Arab cavalry, and they attempted to counter that by bringing their mounted troops together. Fortunately for the Romans, it was too late, and before they were able to form up, Khaled smashed into them, routing them. The Roman cavalry wasn't able to resist for long, and promptly started to leave the field of battle. Back east, the Armenians were defending against attacks from two sides, and for now were able to hold off the assailants. However, after Khaled dealt with the Roman cavalry and made sure that they wouldn't return, his horsemen charged into the rear of the Armenian formation. They collapsed under the charge and started retreating to the southwest. The Arabs repositioned to attack the center-right and the right of the Roman infantry, but before they did, the latter fled on their own, again to the southwest, towards the only crossing over the river. All the while, the Muslim cavalry blocked off their retreat from the north and footmen from the east. The remains of the Roman army were hoping to cross Wadi Rakad, but the 500-strong Arab mounted unit sent away into the desert had already been commanded to block off this crossing. Understanding that they were in a trap, the Roman officers attempted to form up some kind of defensive line, but before they could do it, they were attacked by the cavalry from the north and the infantry from the east. It was
How do you fumble that hard? I mean, good on Khaled, or using his brain, but like, bro, the Romans literally, they were this close. They were that close, bro. What the heck? I'm actually mind blown by this battle. This battle could have gone anyway.
Around half of the Roman army lay dead on the plain of Yarmouk, while the Muslims lost less than a fifth of troops.
Nah, I don't believe that. I think the Muslims lost more.
At this point in this story, we have to leave the Syrian front, as things have started heating up in Iraq.
Alright, I'm actually going to do this battle next time, because this battle was longer than I expected. So, you made it all the way here. Make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe. If you like what I have to say in my videos, go check out my other videos. If you expect more original content from me, go subscribe for that, because I will be dropping more original videos in the future, of course. And if you have any suggestions for me, go comment it down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.